Hello, my name's Kelvin Newman and welcome to today's Search and Content Summit. It's the first of a series of virtual online conferences organised by the people behind Brighton SEO. We've got a great day planned for you. Each of the talks are in groups of three, so you can watch those free talks, and then we've got a group Q&A with all three of those speakers and myself as a moderator. Lots of opportunities to ask questions. So please enjoy today's session and have a great learning experience.
Hi, my name's John Warner, and as everybody is at the moment, I'm at home. In the background, you will undoubtedly hear my dog at some point. This is because he's better trained in Screaming Frog than I am. He's just reminding me where I've gone wrong. There we are. I'm just going to give you a run through of a process that I've been trying to build up for the last couple of years now. Essentially, the agency I work for has a resource page, which we've been adding to over the last 4 or 5 years. It's something that we're quite proud of, but we don't get to share enough on social media. Now, the problem is with any agency, we put a lot more time into our client social media than we do our own. And that means that a lot of the stuff that we produce gets shared once via email, maybe a couple of times on social. In order to try and rectify that, I've been intending to try and build a process to automate it. But again, as with all things, we just don't get the time. However, as we've recently had the apocalypse, I have had the chance to kind of throw something together. And for this, there are a few prerequisites. So we'll just run through a few of those. Now, the first one is that you'll need to be using a social media management tool. Now that will be things like Hootsuite or Buffer or something similar. Most will have a bulk upload function. Secondly, you'll need well-written meta titles, descriptions. Most of the sites that we work on will have had issues with this to begin with, but what your meta titles and descriptions are intending to do is to pull people through from a search to your website, and that is essentially what you're trying to do with a social media post as well. The third thing you'll need is going to be Screaming Frog or another crawler, deep crawl, things like that. Anything that you can use to pull some metadata from the site. And the fourth rather, is a Bitly account. It doesn't have to be a paid one. You can access the API with a free account, which is how I've been doing it. So the next slide is just a quick run through why I decided to do that. As previously mentioned, we have this resources page, which we hope is either evergreen or kind of regularly updated, which we'd like to kind of put out there more often, but really never get the chance to do. It allows you to maintain a regular presence in what are pretty fast moving timelines. So your Facebook, your Twitter, all of these, they move really fast. If you're not there, fairly regularly, then your posts will be missed. It also frees up time for things like newsjacking and kind of your general interactions. Obviously, we'd like to take part more often in things like SEMrush chat, but for industry specific kind of interaction. So the first thing we do is to crawl the specific subfolder of the site. So what we're looking at is restricting the crawl to a specific part of the website, whether that's the blog or, as I said, for us, the resource section. We then filter it to live pages with sort of Screaming Frog. The easiest way to do that is to filter to the 200 response code. Again, I'm sure other crawlers will have similar things. From there, you can export this as a CSV, just paste it straight into a Google Sheet. This has a load of stuff that we essentially don't need. All we're going to keep is the address, title, and meta description columns. Everything else, including the top row, which gives some more information, can just go. We just need to clear up this first page, and what we do is we name that as clearly as we can. In the example, which I'll provide at the end, I just called it a Screaming Frog crawl or something like that. So once that's done, we're just going to use a number of concatenate formulas just to kind of build and automate the build of a URL, including tracking codes. Obviously, we want to maintain the ability to track the traffic as it comes through from the social media platform, and the best way to do that is to make sure we have a UTM there. And adding that to each URL is a pain, so we just use these concatenate formulas to make sure that we don't have to do each of them. So we open up a new tab. We call it something like concatenate, and we just carry out a series of formulas. So first one, we'll pull in the main URL, and we'll add the UTM source actual text to it. So not the UTM source itself, but just the label UTM source. The second concatenate then adds the source. In the spreadsheet again, which I'll link to in the deck, I just have a little drop down where you can select your sources from, which will populate those boxes. But you can add, each source as you go. So the second one just adds that. The third again adds the UTM medium text, while the fourth adds the medium. The fifth concatenate. Sorry, I'm just laughing at my dog, who is keen to join in. So the fifth one, again, same thing as the UTM campaign text before. What we do here in the sixth formula is we try to make the title of the piece a little bit more friendly. So we're just going to add hyphens in where there are spaces in the title that's been pulled through from Screaming Frog. So Screaming Frog B2 gives us the title, and then the substitute part of the formula allows us to use these the quotation marks to say we are substituting a blank space for a hyphen, and that just gives us a thing so that we don't get any special characters in the UTM when it comes through. Then again, we just concatenate the campaign and the actual title of the piece. So next bit is a bit more of a complicated one, which is why I've got it here ready to copy and paste if needs be. But just to run through this formula, what we're looking to do here is to import a shortened URL from Bitly. So on either another page, another tab, or just out of sight of the rest of your data, you'll just need to put a Bitly username and Bitly access to box, which you can fill in with your API key and your username. There is a guide on Bitly as to how to access your API token. But this formula, the import data, again, just does exactly what it says on the tin, so to speak. It tells you a spreadsheet that it is going to pull something in. The concatenate then says we're adding this API call, which is the short and long URL, to the access code, the access token, and we're going to return that as a text value. That will then give you essentially a loading message, and we'll pull directly from Bitly into the cell with a shortened URL, so that you don't have to hit your Twitter character limit with the URL, which you can sometimes do with bulk uploads if you're using a long web address. The next bit I can make a clear call for ideas on. I tried to think of a way to get around this, but it is going to be the main manual aspect of building out a spreadsheet. So for most bulk uploads, what you're looking at is the requirement to add a date and time for the post to go live. I haven't managed to find a way to automate that yet. So by all means, if anyone has any ideas, tweet me and I'll add it into to future versions of the deck with full credit. But essentially, the manual part of this will be to add your date and time indexes as for the guidelines for bulk uploads for your specific social media manager. If you do them in the one column, hopefully, that'll be the biggest kind of time-consuming part of this task. Next, building the post. So this, again, we've done all of the work for this just by crawling and building these concatenate formulas. So the message is literally just pulling out your meta description for the specific piece. Your URL is pulled straight from the concatenate and shorten tab, which is again the shortened URL. The image here, most of the Twitter platforms now will pull the featured image through onto from the piece that you're linking to. But if you want to make sure that there's an image attached, it's often better just to add something generic. Again, you don't want to be adding 1,000 unique images one by one. So if you can have a specific generic but reasonably engaging image that you can add to all of the posts, then just use that, or rely, as I say, on the platform's ability to pull through a featured image using the URL. So the pre-built template, there's a link in the deck here. You can click on the little picture of the spreadsheet. That will take you to a copy, which you can then use to your heart's content. The main kind of 5 points in terms of how to get this done, we're looking to crawl the subfolder of our choice, export and paste into a clearly named tab. We're going to use formula in a secondary tab to build out the URLs, and again to build out the posts. We then manually add in the dates and times that we want these posts to go out at, and we can just simply follow the platform we're using's bulk upload guides, and we can ensure that we are building out 3, 6, 12 months worth of social posts of evergreen and always relevant content in probably about the amount of time it's taken to listen to this, all being well. Okay, thank you. And finally, me, my name's John, as I said at the beginning. I work for a company called Click Consult, a search and digital marketing agency. Joined as a content writer, and have kind of built up the technical skills whilst I've been in the role. You can follow me at JCP Warner on Twitter. I would advise not to. If you're specifically interested in digital marketing, that represents about 20%, while the rest of it is swearing at politicians. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, share with me any additions you have to this. Again, I'm looking for ways to automate that date range, so by all means get in touch. But thank you very much for listening, and good luck with the rest of the lockdown.
Don't forget to download our tips and free resources for online reputation management at investusdigital.com.